Okay, started finally. Thank you so much. Sharing my screen with you. Okay, so we were there into loans and borrowings last time around. Now, please try to identify and understand, my friends, that why we are doing this exercise, such a long exercise. See, our ultimate purpose is to make a kind of a capital structure where our cost is reduced and where the value of the firm is increased. Now, in order to satisfy these two objectives, we'll have to frame a very optimum kind of a capital structure. Capital structure stands for the mix of debt, equity, preference shares, all other sources of finance which are part of it, from where we can gather the money. Now, that is the first and foremost task of the financial manager when it comes to a startup or a business, to frame the appropriate capital structure. Now, that's why the to make you understand the tremendous importance of this capital structure exercise, I have given you one case study of Reliance. I have just given you a snap of it in the WhatsApp. There are various technical things involved over there, but I'll try to explain that as simply as possible. But before that, I'll complete the remaining portion of the last session we had started. So we had started understanding of pros, cons, and features of various sources of finance. So equity was covered in a great detail. Then we moved to loans and borrowings. We discussed its features. We discussed its advantages. I guess the disadvantages were pending to be discussed. Let's go through that and then I'll come to that case study. So disadvantages we have seen, advantages we have seen of the borrowings, my friends. There comes a disciplining effect. Because of the more fixed obligation you take, you become more responsible. आपके पीठ के पीछे अगर आग लगी हो तो हम अच्छा परफॉर्म करते हैं. Fixed percentage gives the protection against the high inflation. There is tax deduction available for the interest payment. The term loan does not result into any dilution of control. These all were the advantages we had seen. Now we are moving to the disadvantage. And the first part of the disadvantage is that entails the fixed interest and principal. Now it comes with the fixed obligation. Whether you perform good in the business or bad in the business, irrespective of whatever you do, you are supposed to make the provision for installments. During Corona, various restaurant owners, hotel owners got bankrupt. I could see at that new ring road, various restaurants and cafes got shut down because of the high leverage they had taken. My friends, every kind of the fixed obligation we take, no, that is the leverage we take, that is the risk we take. Irrespective of the level of sales, we will be forced to satisfy their expectations, to satisfy our obligations. Interest amount कहीं से भी निकालना ही पड़ेगा. Installment amount कैसे ही निकालना ही पड़ेगा. Whether you perform bad or whether you perform good. Yes, if you are growing, if you are expanding your business, if the things are going in your favor, at that time, term loan is always better for you, because you have just got the fixed obligation to pay. Rest everything will remain with the company. But when you will not be doing good, it is a double-edged sword, you know. બેધારી તલવાર, સામેવાળાને પણ લાગી શકે, આપણને પણ લાગી શકે. It increases the leverage, and due to which the cost of equity will also rise. Now, raise is a wrong word used over here. Might have been the mistake, typo error. It should rise. It increases the leverage. due to which the cost of equity will also get raised. Now, what happened, my friends, is, see, when you take a debt and borrowings from some people, you initially get it at the cheaper rates if you have got some good assets. But after an extent, once your position is too risky, the additional debt you get from the market will be at the very high interest rates. Obviously, if you have already taken 1 crore of rupees of debt from the market, say that was at 8%, then the additional 1 crore rupees of debt now you will be seeking from the market will come up with the higher interest rate, right? Now, after an extent, the cost of debt will increase to such an extent that even the equity shareholders will feel, you know, will not be having a very good confidence on your company, will be under a bit of a suspicion that what will happen to this company now. So once the debt position of the company is too high, the equity shareholders will also start realizing that fact, and equity shareholders will also start raising their demand. Now that's what precisely happened with Reliance Communication as well. When the company was doing good, when the dongles of the company were being sold, when the company was performing amazingly well in the Indian markets, it had started taking the debt, borrowings from the people. Now there was a fixed obligation with that borrowings. So in some of the cases, if you do not perform well, then anyhow you are supposed to make the payment to those borrowers. Because of that, the company could not evolve well with the recent changes that were taking place in the telecommunication industry. The major reason behind the fall of the Reliance Communication owned by Anil Ambani was that it had taken the tremendous amount of debt. Their net worth was negative when they applied for the bankruptcy. So what happens once your debt is too much? Then equity shareholders are also under a suspicion. They want to liquidate their money as fast as possible. They know that this market price of this company may get crashed at any point now. So it's better to get maximum advantage from the company right now. So they will keep on increasing their expectations in terms of dividend. अगर किसी का पोजीशन रिस्की हो जाता है तो हम सोचने लगते हैं ना कि चलो उठा के लेते हैं उधर से कुछ. Now, we were staying at Talala actually, and my father was liquidating that place. I mean, we were living from there and we were shifting over here in Rajkot. So many of the traders came and said, you know, that some of the money were due in the market because we were doing the business over there. But obviously, we had paid all that money to all the traders, but they were little bit insecure. You know, उनको ऐसा तो लगता है ना कि ये पेमेंट करेंगे कि नहीं करेंगे, हमारा पैसा वापस आएगा कि नहीं आएगा. तो suddenly the number of meetings got increased. People started coming to shop and started talking about it. So they want to liquidate their money as much as possible when they feel that this party is living or this party is going too much risky. So ultimately, the cost of equity will also get raised because of the fact that there is an increase in the leverage by a company. I hope you're getting my point. Now, obviously, once the company becomes too risky, then this lenders of the money will also start putting some restrictions. You know, you won't be able to appoint the board of directors. At one point of time, Reliance Communication was under so much of restrictions that they couldn't even call for a board of meeting without taking the permission of their lenders, without taking the permission of the people from whom they have taken the loans and borrowings. Even for calling a meeting for board of directors, which is an internal meeting, they were first forced to intimate that to their lenders. So this people may put the restrictions on you, but that is entirely dependent on their rights and obligations as per the agreement of loan. So that was precisely the reason why earlier, the loans and borrowings was a responsibility of a company. So that's why there were various fraud cases we had seen in the Indian companies, because owners are different from the company. So owners were getting away from this responsibility. वो तो कंपनी का लोन है, हमारा थोड़ी ना है, तो हम पे करने वाले नहीं हैं. But there was a very amazing act introduced by this government, Insolvency and Bankruptcy Act, under which these lenders have collected a lot of money from all these companies which went bankrupt. Earlier, the owners were, able to find some ways to get detached from a company. They take a loan in a company's name. I'm obviously the company is taking the loan, then owners will take the dividends and everything, and the company will be making the default in borrowings. Now, when you cannot tell to owners, shareholders as well, because shareholders have got the limited liability. So now, so since last many number of years, the frauds cases got increased too much, and that's why this government realized that there is a need to control these fraud cases now. So insolvency and bankruptcy code was introduced, where these promoters were held personally liable for some mischievous acts which the company had done. If the company will be making some defaults in borrowings, in making the payment of installments, then if the owners have got some undue advantage from that company, then owners may be held personally liable. That is against the basic ethos of limited liability, but that was supposed to be done because owners had started taking too much advantage of it. बाहर से किसी के पास से लोन लिया, कंपनी ने बैंकरप्सी डाल दी कि हमें लोन पे करने के लिए पैसे नहीं है, और इधर कंपनी डिविडेंड दे रही है ओनर्स को, और ये भाई साहब डिविडेंड का पैसा लेके उसमें से निकल रहे हैं. So insolvency and bankruptcy court has collected a lot of money since last few number of years. In every year, their collection is somewhere around 50 to 60,000 crores. So a lot of burden from the banks and financial institutions who are giving the loans to these companies has reduced, because they have started collecting the money by holding this owners personally liable for this losses. So we were discussing about the inflation as well. Let's go to the last one. If the rate of inflation turns out to be unexpectedly low, then the real cost of debt will be greater than expected. So when the inflation would be too high, debt gives you the protection against it. But when the inflation turns out to be too low, then the real cost of debt would be too high. So real cost of debt can be simply calculated by, say, the cost of debt is 8% and the say inflation is just a 1%, then the cost of debt is 7%. As simple as that. So 8 minus 1, 1 is the inflation rate, 8 is the cost of debt at which you have taken the loan, interest rate. But say 8 is the interest rate and 7% is the inflation rate, then your effective cost of debt is just a 1%. Why? Because your prices of your goods and services and commodities you are selling are also getting increased significantly by 7%. So your effective cost of debt is just a 1%. It's a very layman kind of understanding. There are few technicalities involved with the real rate and nominal rate, not going into that as of now. But it's a very simple kind of layman understanding that if the inflation rate is too high, your effective cost of debt is reduced. And if the inflation rate is too low, then the effective cost of debt would be too high. Now that happens exactly in a reverse manner when it comes to investments. If you make the investments and if the inflation is too high, then you get the less amount of effective interest. So say you are making, this is from the perspective of a loan. Well, so these are the disadvantages of the term loan finance. May I have a confirmation from the students that you are absolutely clear with this? All of you through the chat box, please. यहाँ तक सब कुछ क्लियर है बेटा? कोई भी डाउट, कोई भी ऐसी चीज जहां पे मुझे और एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत है? शोइंग दिस पॉइंट्स टू ऑल ऑफ यू. कोई भी ऐसा पॉइंट हो जो नहीं समझ में आया, जहां पे और एक्सप्लेन करने की जरूरत है, बताइए. Received it from Devanshi, Josum, Bansi, Priska, Urja, others. Good, let's move ahead. Now I have circulated one snap to you in your WhatsApp. You may go through that. There are few, technicalities involved over there. So you'll not be able to get it very properly. I'm explaining that to you in a very layman language. Let's go over there. Okay. So how many of you have heard about the Reliance Industries and Reliance Jio? Every one of us is using their products now. Quite a famous name among the Indian households, yet. The international students might not be very much aware about it, but it's one of the biggest company in India we have. Reliance Industries Limited. Now there is one more company which they had established to do a telecommunication business. That company was called as the Reliance Jio. Now this case study is to understand the understand the importance of this capital structure exercise. They have saved thousands of crores of rupees in taxation just by doing this smart structuring of their capital. So Reliance had initiated one more company, Reliance Jio. Now, Reliance Jio is there in a telecommunication business. To grow and expand with the latest technology and advancements, Reliance Jio was supposed to take the help from some global giants, like Google, Facebook, Microsoft. They wanted their investments. Because see, if other people who have got some technology, they will be sharing their technology to Reliance Jio only if Reliance Jio gives some percentage of the ownership in their company. Google, Facebook, these people have got the tremendous advanced technologies. Reliance Jio wanted the help of those people. So Reliance Jio is supposed to give the ownership to Google, to Microsoft, to Facebook, all those firms. Reliance Jio have sold some stake. So during 2019-20, there were quite a few headlines that Reliance Jio has sold such percentage of the stake to Facebook, some percentage of the stake to Google, and so on and on. Now, see, try to understand how smartly they had made a capital structure. Now, if they wouldn't have made this smart capital structure, then how the scenario would have been, if Reliance Jio did not have that smartness and Reliance didn't do any planning, then how the cases would have been. Let's try to get that first, then we'll be able to understand this. So say Reliance would have been the owner of Reliance Jio, right? So Reliance Industries Limited will be holding the equity capital of Jio. Now, if some outsiders investors were supposed to get some percentage of the equity holding, say Facebook wants it, say Google wants it, then what was the way? Reliance Industries would have been forced to sell their equity capital to FB, to Google and all, right? Because Reliance is the owner of Reliance Jio. So Reliance Industries Limited will be selling some percentage of the stake to these outsiders. So now what would have happened for RIL? Reliance Industries Limited had invested in Jio at some rate, say 100 rupees, at which they had invested in the Reliance Jio, the equity stock. And now once this equity stock is to be sold to FB and Google, say they are selling at 500 rupees per share. So Reliance has made the profit of 400 rupees on one share, yes or no? Now, if Reliance has made the profit of 400 rupees on one share, then Reliance would have been forced to pay the capital gains tax. Because when you sell your shares, no, as per the Income Tax Act 1961, capital gains is imposed on it, because equity share is considered to be a capital asset. And when the capital asset is sold from one party to another party at some profit, you are supposed to pay the capital gains tax on it. It can further be bifurcated into short-term capital gains tax and long-term capital gains tax. I'm not going into that much of technicalities of income tax right now. So they were supposed to pay the capital gains on it. Now you try to understand, you are selling such a huge quantity of the stake, 20,000 crores, 30,000 crores, 40,000 crores. So if you will be selling, say, 50,000 crores of stake, and you had bought it earlier just at 10,000 crores, so you are making the profit of 40,000 crores. So imagine if there would have been 20% tax on it, say the long-term capital gains tax or short-term capital gains tax have the different percentages. Say there was a 20% tax on the profit. So they would have paid 8,000 crores just as the taxation to the government. But let me tell you, they didn't pay even a penny. Why? Because they had done some really smart capital structure planning of Jio. Now, this would have been the case if there was no smart restructuring, you know. But they didn't pay any. ये तो रिलायंस है भैया, ये थोड़ी ना पे करने वालों में। तो क्या किया इन्होंने? इन्होंने इक्विटी नहीं होल्ड की. There is a company called RIL and there is a company called Reliance Jio. So RIL was not holding too much portion in the equity. They had framed two categories in the Reliance Jio. One was the equity, another one was the optionally convertible preference shares. So who was the owner of this? The owner of this was the Reliance Industries Limited. Optionally convertible preference shares were held by Reliance Industries Limited only. Now what happened? They wanted to give some stake to Facebook, to Google, because they wanted their partnership. These people will be sharing their technologies and technical know-how and everything only if they get some equity, some ownership in the Reliance Jio. They want to get the ownership in Jio, right? So now what happened? Reliance Industries Limited, just before giving the stake to this FB and Google, they had converted their preference shares into equity shares. Now, what do we mean by the optionally convertible preference shares? Optionally convertible preference share means they can be converted into equity share if the owner of that equity share prefers to convert it. That means if the Reliance has got the option, then Reliance may use that option at its discretion to convert their preference shares into equity shares. So they may convert it, they may not convert it. Reliance had got the option. So just before selling the stake to this FB and Google, now Reliance had converted that to equity. So it is just a conversion that has taken place. No, optionally convertible preference shares are converted now into equity. Now what happened? Reliance Jio had issued this equity. Now Reliance Jio has got the equity. No, now see, ideally the money is there with the Reliance Jio only. There is no transfer of the money. It is just a pen paper kind of a transaction. Optionally convertible preference shares are now converted into equity. Now this equity which the Reliance Jio has got, they did the fresh issue of equity to Google, this FB, and all those foreign investors. If Reliance try to understand, if Reliance was holding entirely into an equity, then this equity would have been sold by Reliance to FB Google directly, and Reliance would have paid some tax amount on it, because it is it is chargeable to capital gains tax as per Income Tax Act. But they didn't do it. What did they do? They converted their optionally convertible preference shares into equity. And then Reliance Jio had issued new fresh issue equity to Google and FB. Now when the companies are issuing the fresh equity to the outsiders specifically, then it is a provision there in the income tax that if they are distributing this equity at the fair value, then there won't be any tax paid by Reliance Jio on it. So they issued at a fair value. They got some very good valuation from the independent valuers, maybe some investment bankers or someone. They did the valuation of the Reliance Jio, and Reliance Jio had issued the new fresh equity to Google and FB at that valuation. So if it is a fair valuation as per the income tax, then Reliance Jio is not supposed to pay any tax on it. No tax, because it is the fresh issue of equity. No? And Reliance Industries Limited as well will not be paying any tax on it, because they haven't sold any stake. What they have done is they have just converted their preference shares into equity shares. It is just a conversion of preference share into equity shares, so they will also not be paying any tax on it. If Reliance would have sold their equity to some outsider, then the taxation was applicable, but now it is not applicable. So see, it was a great planning, a very smart planning made by this company. They categorized the capital structure of Reliance Jio into two parts. One is optionally convertible preference shares, another one was equity, taking into account the taxation aspects of it. They were knowing that if we will be selling directly the equity to the outsiders, the Reliance is the owner, and Reliance is selling some portion of its equity to, say, FB, then Reliance would have paid the tax on it. They didn't do it. They converted their preference shares into equity, and then Reliance Jio had issued the fresh equity to outsiders. So when the Reliance Jio is issuing the fresh equity to outsiders, they are also not supposed to pay any tax, because it is just a fresh issue of equity, not chargeable to tax. Reliance Industries Limited will also not be paying any tax, because they haven't sold any equity. They have just converted their equity into their preference share into equity stock. That was the deal done by the Reliance Industries Limit. They have saved somewhere near to 8 to 10,000 crores just from this transaction. Reliance is known for taking the maximum advantages of the Indian taxation system, There are quite a few instances where few provisions were inserted in income tax just because Reliance wanted to do so. That is slightly off the track. I will give you one more example. In 2003 to 7, that was a period where P. Chidambaram was the finance minister. There was a UPA government. Prime Minister was Manmohan Singh. 7, 3, 8, and in that period actually. At that point of time, Reliance had found a tremendous amount of gas quantity at the Krishna Godavari gas plant, KG plant. There was one site identified in India, Krishna Godavari gas, where they have found the quantity of the natural gases in a tremendous quantity. Now that was so much that it could be distributed to the entire pan India for so many number of years. So Reliance had identified that opportunity. Now Reliance went to P. Chidambaram, finance minister of that time, India. Reliance said that we have identified the too much of quantity of these gases. If you help us, then we will distribute it to the pan India, all the states. So at that time, Government of India said no for it. Why? Because there was a too much of capital expenditure involved in this plan. If you want to distribute the gas from this place to the entire India through the cross-country gas pipeline, it requires lakhs of crores. So at that point of time, it was requiring somewhere around 2 to 3 lakhs crores. So you can identify 2 to 3 lakhs crores at that time. That was the entire budget of Government of India at that time. So entire fiscal budget of the Government of India will be spent just in a one project. So you can identify the magnitude and the scale of this project. Reliance said, okay, if you do not want to do it, we will do it. Reliance said that we will be investing 2 to 3 lakhs crores and we will be establishing the network of cross-country gas pipeline through which the gas will be distributed to the entire country, India, in various states. But you will have to just satisfy our few conditions. और यहाँ पे बनियागिरी आई भैया, यहाँ पे मुकेश अंबानी ने अपने खरे रंग दिखाए. वो बोले कि आप हमें थोड़े से एडवांटेजेस दे दो, few advantages. So government said yes, okay, you ask. They said, see, this 2 to 3 lakhs crores we are investing, no, that is a capital expenditure. Right? You allow us to charge it as revenue expenditure. It is a capital expenditure, no? Because see, you purchase the assets, you invest in some construction of this property. This everything forms a part of your fixed assets, land, machinery, building. They cannot be charged in your P&L account. They are your asset, and slowly and steadily some depreciation will be deducted from your fixed assets, right? That would have been the case. But they said instead of capital expenditure, it should be charged as the revenue. So government had called a special meeting, and after discussing it with the various financial analysts of the Government of India, they came to a conclusion that, okay, chalo, we give this permission. You charge it as the revenue expenditure. Then Reliance had put the second condition. They say, see, if we charge it as a revenue expenditure, no, then what will happen? That we will, there will be too much of this expenditure and we will be making too much of loss now. So you will have to allow us to carry forward that loss for unlimited period of time. Carry forward loss to unlimited period of time, till the time the entire money that we have invested, say 2 to 3 lakhs crores, is recovered back. So till the time we do not recover back anything, I mean the total amount, we will be able to carry forward these losses for n number of periods. Now, as per the Income Tax Act, you can carry forward the losses only up to few number of years. So say you are making the loss in this period and you have the profit in the next year. So obviously you'll not be paying the tax in the next year because you had done some losses in the previous year as well. So your profit will be reduced by the losses you have incurred in the previous year, and on the reduced amount you pay the income tax. But that loss can be carried forward only up to few number of years. You cannot carry forward the losses of the previous baggage for infinite number of years till the time all these losses are covered up. But it was a special permission given to the Reliance Industries Limited. Government said, yes, okay, you can carry forward your losses till the time you recover back your entire money from the capital investment you are making. So you can imagine how much would have been the revenue, say 2000 crores, 3000 crores on a yearly basis. And these people have charged 2 lakhs crores as an expense. So there would be a tremendous loss in the initial years, say 1,80,000 crores. So they will not be paying any tax on it, no tax, because it's a loss. So in that year, you won't be paying any tax. Now this 1,80,000 will be carried forward in the second year. So say you are making profit of 3,000 and you still have the unrecovered loss of 1,80,000. So you have just recovered 3,000 back. So there is 177 which is still left to be recovered back. So in that year as well, you are not paying any tax. Then say it comes the third year, Reliance makes the profit of say 4,000 crores. From that, you still have the unabsorbed losses of 1,77,000. In that year too, you do not pay any tax. Until the time this entire money is not recovered back, they will not pay even a penny on tax. And P. Chidambaram said yes for it. So there was a section called Section 35 AD inserted in Income Tax Act 1961 just to satisfy the requirements of the Reliance Industries Limited. भैया ये है पावर हमारे भाई साहब मुकेश भाई साहब का. इनकम टैक्स के प्रोविजन इनके लिए बनते हैं. इनकम टैक्स के बहुत ज्यादा प्रोविजंस रिलायंस के लिए ही बने हैं. So Reliance is known for taking the advantages in the taxation, you know. Well, that was slightly off the track, but you have got my earlier case study of capital structure framing, you know. They had framed their capital structure of Reliance Jio so smartly that they were not supposed to pay any tax to the government of India. That was done very systematically. That is the importance of the capital structure sometimes. May I have a confirmation, please? All the students that till now you are there with me. Any queries or questions? Anything which I should explain in a better way? Now I will take you to the preference shares. So after understanding the great importance of it, now let's go to the preference shares. Let me just check what is the time. Accordingly, we'll move ahead. I should complete it by 12:40. I just have 5 minutes left. Well, friends, so preference shares is basically a combination of equity and some loan. Like it resembles a few features of equity and few features of the loan. That's why it is also called as the hybrid source of finance. So preference share capital gets the first priority to get the dividend. That is the very basic feature. And when the company gets shut down, at that point of time too, the first repayment of capital should be done to the preference shareholder. And then if remaining money is left, it may be distributed to the equity shareholders. So preference shareholders have got the first priority over the equity shareholders. I'm not saying the first priority over the other liabilities as well. See, outsiders' liabilities needs to be satisfied first. Employees' expenses, interest on loans and borrowings, taxation to government, everything. But before you pay something to equity shareholder, first you will have to pay to the preference shareholder. So they have got the preference over just the equity shareholders. That's it. So dividend of the preference shareholder at quite a few occasions, in majority of the situations we see, is also not mandatory. But they have got the right to receive the dividend before the equity. So that means if you do not pay the dividend to preference shareholders, they are okay. Sometimes I'll tell you in which occasions. But if you pay to equity shareholder, then you will have to first make the payment to preference shares. So they have got the preference over the equity. That's why they are called as the preference shares. Now, what could be the reasons behind it? We'll see that later on. So let me just complete it today because if I'll be taking it, no, then we'll not be able to complete it. Preference shares anyway, we'll be discussing it in the next session. Fine, so that's it from my side. So we have understood today the tremendous importance of the capital structure exercise, and we have also understood the disadvantages of the term loan finance. Anyway, that's it from my side for the day. Please put your enrollment number. I'll be taking few extra sessions in the next week. I'll give you the timetable of it after having a word with Neeta ma'am. Please put your enrollment number for the day. That's it from my side for the day. Bye-bye. Take care. Sayonara. Enjoy the rest of the day.